important that singles get ministered to or coached or educated about the life of a single.
Yeah, I think the most important relationship you have after your relationship with God is your relationship with yourself, your single self. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength, and love your neighbor, how? As yourself. So there's a lot of people that say, or they love God, and then they try to love people, but they don't love themselves, or have not loved themselves in a proper context. But everybody's anxious to be in a relationship, and so I don't know. I think single ministry or ministry to single people is probably one of the utilized opportunities that is explored in church context. There's a lot when it comes to singles. It's like the default ministry. So either people don't want to be a part of it, I don't want to be single, or there's so many different versions of being single. Single, want a relationship, single, out of a relationship, unmarried but not really single, divorced, don't want to be with nobody no more, widow. So many categories. So how do you even approach it? But Paul biblically was very specific and very clear about how singles should be handled and ministered to. But in church culture, there's just a lot of single events and not a lot of single equipped. So singles aren't being equipped to be successfully single, and definitely I feel not being equipped to then convert that into a successful married relationship. Healthy single people make healthy relationships and married people. Unhealthy single people make unhealthy married relationships.
And I attest to all of that. And I just remember, when I was single and over the singles ministry, trying to do research for it. And it was just, all of the research showed how unmarried people did not want to be identified that way. They didn't want anybody to call them single. They didn't want anybody to call them unmarried. So to try and gather them around, it was difficult because nobody wanted to identify with that. But the thing that I've realized being married is that if you were not a student as a single person, you're definitely having difficulty being a student as a married person. Definitely. And that discipline of becoming your better self in all states that you're in, if you don't start with your own self, it will make it difficult for you to do that in your marriage. You've never been married before, or if you were married, it wasn't great. So you still need to learn. So when we don't become students of ourselves early on, it makes it very difficult that in another season that we're not a continual student. So it's like, unmarried people, whatever state that you're in, period, you need to be happy about that state, because if you don't embrace the state that you're in, you'll go to another state wishing that you did something else in another space.
Yeah, you can't resent the relationship you have with yourself and then want to have a healthy relationship with somebody else.
To want that, want you, and you don't even want
like
yourself.
You don't like being in relationship with you, but you want somebody else to be in relationship with you.
So the big question is, what do you do when you're single? What should you be focusing on? Like, what should you be giving your attention to?
Yeah, the Bible is clear. We try to build it on a biblical base because that's where the principles are. Paul talked about in your single season, your time belongs to the Lord. That doesn't mean you become a monk and live in God's house and never go nowhere and don't do anything. That means that's the time when you get to learn the Creator and what the Creator thinks about His creation. So you fall in love with God. He created you. Who are you? What do you care about? What value do you add? What do you want to do? What's the purpose? What's your passion? Where do you want to go? What do you want to explore? You don't sit single season out waiting to be in a relationship. Like, single season is a maximized season. It's a joyful space. It's a season in your life that if you do it right, you'll never get it back again. Then you'll be in a relationship thinking about, I should have did this, when I didn't have any accountability, when nobody told me what time, when I didn't have to respond to anybody or ask or answer to anyone. So I don't know. I think people underestimate and underutilize the single season, and they miss out on an opportunity to really explore and evaluate who they are so that they can level up and attract on the level that they leveled up on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is truly in the Bible that you devote your time and your energy and your passion as unto the Lord. But, you know, as you're doing that, I believe, well, I know for a fact that when you are doing it as unto the Lord, the closer you're getting to God, the closer you're getting to yourself, and you're discovering things about yourself that you didn't know because you are getting closer to the Creator. And I think that when you are like wishing, I remember one girl telling me, I just want to not cook for myself. I want to be able to cook for somebody else. And then when she got married, I was like, so are you cooking? You know what I'm saying? Like the very thing that you're wishing for, right? The very thing that you're wishing for, you're not embracing where you are. And so you can't exhaust it until you just put your arms around it and your head around it and just say, Lord, what do you want from me in this season? Because to me, that's a question that you have to ask yourself until you die. So it's like, if you just get into that frame of mind, you'll live your life on a whole nother level. I didn't wait for things to happen. I had to make a decision because I was resenting when I was a single person, but I had to make a decision about this life that I'm in right now. And if I know that God promised me something else, I don't want to squander this time because I won't have what I need for the next moment. Right. So it's like, if you have a promise for God, you got to live in the now so that when you get to the promise of God, you'll be able to fulfill it and do it and enjoy it and not resent it, because your husband or your wife or your children don't deserve your unmet single expectations that you did not take care of when you were unmarried.
That's right. I think unfortunately people equate singleness to loneliness as opposed to wholeness, as opposed to being single or unmarried. How we say it, we rephrase it, is to be complete, to be whole, to be one, to be solid, right? To be at one, at peace with yourself. And so just because you are not married doesn't mean that you are alone. And there's a lot of people that are married and alone. Let alone, so marriage doesn't cure loneliness, right? And learning how to be at one with yourself or alone with yourself is a healthy season and a healthy space that you should be in and try to maximize. So you can't let your relationship or let your identity be defined by your relationship status. You have to literally understand that my relationship status does not quantify or qualify who I am. I am in a season that is a choice that I must embrace, whether I got here by default or got here by decision. I'm going to make up my mind that I'm going to exhaust this season to the max and enjoy it to the fullness. That's what your single season is supposed to be about.
Yeah. It is Relationship Talk Thursday here with the Power Couple. I'm Sonia Blakey, Pastor Jamone and Erica Glenn. Loving singles, see your single life clearly. What are some practical things that a single person should be doing? Getting their finances together. You know,
preach.
So there's things, because there's some things
getting out of debt.
Have done
preach.
Before I got married. You know, some things I've missed, but by the grace of God, married 30 years. But what are some practical things that, single folks can be doing to prepare themselves for marriage if that's their desire?
I'll let my wife unpack most of this, because in my single season, I was locked in. It was me and the Lord. And that was because I know me. You know what I mean? So I was like, I don't want to date. I don't want to look around. I ain't looking too long. Everybody and their grandma was trying to introduce me to their granddaughter, their daughter, trying to connect me. And so in my single season, I really use it as a sense of consecration, because it was a strong transition for me, because I coming new out of the world, I had a sordid past. And so in that transition, I was being sanctified. I was transitioning my mentality in my life. And so I think that I learned to do things that increased my value. Right? And we coach people and tell them to do things that increase your value, not diminish it. Because a lot of people want a level of a relationship that they're not on. Right. They want the man with the 6 figures, but they only got 2. They want the man with the 800 credit score, but their credit score is 400. They want the man that got the private jet or traveled all over the world, but they ain't been nowhere. They ain't been to Indiana. And so it's like, you can't keep saying what you desire that you haven't become. Because you will not attract, you will only attract on the level of who you are. So there's a flip side to that I'll add, because I know the ladies is like, no, I got my masters, I got my money, I got my stuff, and the other person. So this isn't gender based. This is period. There are a lot of upside down relationships because there are people that did the work in a single season and they can't find their compatibility, their compatible mate, because the other people didn't do the work because somebody was wishing they were in a relationship instead of becoming the relationship that somebody wished that they had. So in your single season, yeah.
You can talk about some practical things.
Yeah, for me, I think the practicalness would be, like my husband said, to level up, to build up your worth, to take care of your credit, to travel where you want to go. Because just because you're married to somebody, they may not want to go anywhere. They might be fine just staying at home. To make sure, to know what you like. Like, if you're in a perpetual relationships, you don't know who you are and what you like, especially for a woman, because you are adapting to a man, so you don't always know all the things that you like or dislike. Healing, getting yourself healed, making sure your relationships are tight with the people that you want your relationships to be tight with, in your head, taking care of your body, especially for women. We are having a lot of women having difficulty having babies, getting pregnant, like all of those things. And I think that is something that people don't think about when they're single, because they're just, when I get married, it's just gonna poof, all of these things are just gonna happen, not knowing that you have to get yourself ready for those things. So to me, for a woman, and I think, for a man, I think we all have our things that we have to do to be a husband, to be a wife, and you need to understand what that is. But it's kind of, you're living, I won't say a double life, but you're kind of having your hands filled with two things at the same time. I'm becoming the person that I need to be with having my eyes on becoming what else there is for me to be, all at the same time. And I think if we would stop, if you're unmarried, if you would just stop wishing that you were married and actually do some work in all of it, when you get to the place where you're married,
Don't just wish, work.
You can't just wish. There has to be work that is put there. And I think that I think if you kind of knew what some of the work was in marriage, you wouldn't be so quick to let me hurry up and get over there. That's just being honest, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that marriage is work. It is not just poof, it happens.
And I think people don't realize marriage is work or relationships is work, or they do realize it, but they think they rather do that work than to do the work that it takes to be successfully single.
Exactly.
But here's what we learn. If you do the work successfully single, you have less work to do when you're married.
Something right there.
Yeah. I think the people trying to backtrack, like, if I do the work in my single season, that I won't have to do so much work in my relationship season, or at least I'll have work ethic.
Exactly.
And I'll know how to work, and I'll have an expectation that this gonna take work.
Right.
This gonna take work for us to build this life we want, because it took work for me to build the life that I had before.
Myself, exactly.
It's gonna take work for us to save money to buy this house, because it took work for me to save money to get my house or my apartment or my business. This gonna take work for us to go to the next level of raising our kids, because it took work for me to get my degree or my trade or my skill. So if you have no accomplishments in your single season, no evidence, no fruit that you went to work, that you put the work in on yourself,
you completed something.
That's right. Then I don't want to bring you into my married life with no work ethic, because it's gonna be hard trying to build something and also trying to build you. I ain't got time to. Like, I need somebody to build with me. Not all the work can't be on you. Like, we got to be working together, not just every time we turn around we working on you.
And one more thing. Being a single person, marriage is not going to rescue you. So if you quit looking that marriage is going to rescue you, then you will not look for it to be the next answer to something that you don't do and you're unmarried.
Marriage doesn't rescue you, it reveals you.
Ooh. Are you single until you're married? Are you single until you're married? Your thoughts on that question?
You're not. You are unmarried, you are single in status, but in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, are you single? You may not be, because you might be looking, as we said, for a relationship to rescue you versus you dealing with you, looking at the man in the mirror. Michael Jackson said it so well, looking at the man in the mirror. So some of us, or I'm not us, I'm sorry, some people that are single are not single. They are attached to somebody else, even though that person may not be there, but they're attached to that person because they're tied in their mind and their soul and their spirit and in their heart with that person. So a little bit, they could almost a little bit counterfeit married.
Some people, plan marriage. Some people
Yeah.
been in a relationship since they was in high school, since they was in middle school. They've been in perpetual boyfriend, girlfriend, out of one thing into the next thing, and really have not had any time with themselves to embrace their unmarried season. So they go from being in a status of being unmarried, but they never was really single. They just weren't married. And then they're perpetually in 9-year, 7-year, 10-year relationships that still aren't married, but they're still not single. So just because you're unmarried doesn't mean you're single. There's too many people that are not single, whole, complete, secure in their identity, in their unmarried space. They should be embracing that.
How would you guys summarize this session? Loving single, seeing your single life clearly. How would you guys summarize what we talked about today?
I would summarize that: don't waste your single season wishing you was in a relation in another season. Like, you're in the season that you're in, so embrace it, reframe it, re-identify it, re-communicate, see it differently. Like, love the skin that you're in and the season that you're in, and embrace it wholeheartedly. When you really start having fun where you are and becoming who you need to be, you'll attract who you're supposed to be. It was Adam saw Eve and said, "Whoa, man, this is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She's whole, she complete, she thriving, she over there doing her thing. Where she come from? I didn't see her before." He acknowledged, he witnessed, he saw her because she was complete and full in who she was. She wasn't looking for him, he was looking for her. And he found her because she was in a season of wholeness and celebration. So
I think how you said it about it being a sacred season, singleness being a sacred season. And I think that when you look at it as to be sacred, when you get into marriage, you're being sacred as unto God. But then when you get into marriage, then you're being sacred unto your spouse. So you're able to transfer that sacredness from one state to another state because you've disciplined yourself in being sacred. If you've been all over the place as an unmarried person, or as a single person in a sense, then when you get married, that settledness is going to take a minute to get there because you weren't focused on one thing. You were focused on a whole lot of other things that caused your sacredness not to be as unto God.
Great conversation. How can our listeners get in touch with you guys? Because I'm quite sure they're loving today's conversation.
Catch up with us on social. We try to encourage both halves. We have been getting a lot of requests from single people. They're like, y'all leaving us out. We're not leaving you out. You can learn from married people. But right now, we're really leaning into, we're going to do like a live master class, and I guess you could call it, just about embracing your singleness. My wife actually is getting ready to do, what is it called? Single in the City. It's for single women, just to really be able to embrace. I do something called Manhood, where I talk about men and their life and their choosing before they get married and when they marry. We try to cover all things relationships. That's part of our assignment. So whether you're on the single side or the married side, or should I say, whether you're on the unmarried side or the married side, we on your side. All right. So connect up with us so we can help you live and thrive for life and legacy.